let's say someone watched part 1 of this series and they said, okay, I get it. I need friends. I don't have any. I want to make some friends. How do I make new friends? What would you say to that person?
Well, I think we covered that a little bit in the previous session. Basically, we need to be like Jesus.
Uh-huh.
We need to help people. And that's not just necessarily the people that are in the ditch that are cold and hungry, but anyone that we see that has a need, we can reach out and fill that need. And I think that can be the starting point for a friendship. I think one thing we have to do is also just get out of our own world. We could be hospitable. If you look at the qualifications for a deacon should be hospitable, which means entertaining others, being a friend to others so that you can speak into their life. And, depending on age, maybe it's a mentor relationship or something like that. So, be that kind of person. And, I think part of that, when I think of that, I think, okay, I'm an introvert. I'd just as soon spend time by myself as I had with other people. If you look at mine and Jonna's lives historically, we don't have a lot of friends we don't take vacations with them, and they're always at our house and we're always at their house. We've never had really friends like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think both because we are both introverts and we kind of withdraw into our own lives, I guess, when we're not at church or at work or out and about. And so I think that's something we should question of our own selves. And did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think you did. And we can get into the introvert extrovert thing in a minute, because I think that is a relevant question as well. I would simply say, if you're a person who, let's say, works from home and you go to church on Sunday, you sit in the pew and then you leave, though you may be a very friendly person, you're not really putting yourself in a great position to make friends. I know this is painfully obvious, but to make friends, you need to go where the friends are. Now, think for a moment in your mind about what kind of friends you would like to have. Like, let's say you're a musician like me. Would you like to have musical friends, right? Well, then you're going to want to go where the musicians are. You know what I'm saying? Because that common interest, as we discussed in that first episode, is what will initially bind people together. So put yourself in some social situations. And you might say, well, I'm kind of socially awkward and I don't really do too well. I'm not really a socialite. I think that what you were saying about loving others, looking always to the needs of others, basically looking outward, is a great remedy for that. The kind of person who's uncomfortable to be around is one who is self-conscious, always turning the eyes inward. Mm-hmm. How do I look? Mm-hmm. What did what I just say made sense? Was that funny? Is everyone around me laughing? It's the person who's more concerned with what's going on with others. And I think that call to attend to others before attending to yourself is a great path to alleviating that social awkwardness.
Yeah, I'll tell you something I've been doing lately. And part of it is an outcome of, we always say, in this podcast and in our ministry in general, it affects us as much as other people. We're not super Christians. We're not, on a plane above everyone else. I mean, as we go through this material and research, it impacts us as much or more as we hope it impacts other people. So one of the things that I have been doing, we have been attending a church a little over a year where we are now, where we're members. It's a church that on average, about 250 people on a Sunday morning. So it's small enough that it doesn't feel like a mega church. You kind of feel like you know a lot of people, but at the same time, there's a lot of people you don't know, because what do we do when we go to church? We tend to come in, sit on our pew. And so what I have been doing is, when we come out of the Sunday school hour or the small group hour, or whatever you want to call it, there's a 10 or 15 minute window there before church starts. So I have been intentionally trying to go to people that I do not know very well or that I've never met and just say, hey, I've been here a year, but we've never really met one another. This is who I am. Who are you? And just have a 5-minute conversation.
Yeah. I think
And
that's great.
It gets us out of our shell. The other people generally are happy you've done it, and you get to know somebody new a little bit. For me, because I'm old, then I have to go write their name down so that I don't have to have the exact same conversation next week.
Sure.
But I think those are the kind of things that we can do that are just helpful for building community and building friendships. Once you have that conversation, then it's always easier to do the next step. It's that I don't know you, I've never met you, awkwardness. Yeah, and I'll just be honest. I mean, that's unnatural to me. I'm naturally an introvert. I'd be just as happy to go sit on my pew.
Oh yeah,
and just let church start and walk out the door not knowing the same people that I didn't know when I came in. But that's kind of what we're talking about is being more friendly, building that community.
Yeah, I think any little practice that you can adopt like that. Maybe it's I'm going to call one friend a week, or maybe it's next time I go to a party, I'm going to find the person who I know the least well and go talk to them. Anything like that. And if you have to keep a filing cabinet to keep all your friends straight so you don't have to have that conversation over and over again, and you don't want to avoid going up to that person because you don't have any idea what they told you about themselves last time, so be it. That's intentionality, There's nothing wrong with that. It is a lot easier to just sit on the pew and, scroll on your phone and mind your own business, but that's not the way to have a rich life, and it's not the way to impact others.
Absolutely. And that should be our goal. And I think we should just be trying to make connections with others. If we're going to live out the word, I mean, just compare the two scenarios. I walk into church, I go sit on my pew, I get out my phone and do something, or else I go meet a person that I've never met, have a conversation about who they are and what they do. I mean, isn't that a better trajectory for living out the word than just sitting on the pew and being in my own little world? I mean, really get outside your comfort zone and invite that person, to go out to eat after service and get to know them a little bit more. I mean, that would be, maybe the next level on that. And it seems kind of goofy to even be saying it.
Sure.
But, and for some people, that comes natural because they're extrovert and they just absolutely crave being with people. For an introvert like myself, it's definitely not a natural thing to do, and so I have to work at it.
Yeah. When you die one day and people are standing around at your funeral, no one is going to say, the thing that I loved most about Scotty is how he sat on the pew and scrolled through his phone. I just thought that was really admirable. No, it was the way he opened himself up to others and the way he talked to us and he learned about us and took an interest in our lives and made us laugh, and the list goes on and on. Do something in the presence of others that will echo in eternity, not something that will live and die in that moment, because this life, it's coming and it's going, right?
Absolutely.
Only what will remain when the fire of judgment day consumes all of the hay and stubble will be left for eternity.